This is number 11. This is gonna be number 11, and I have Sifu Keith Mosher with me from what's Wing Chun in South. So I don't even know what this name of your school is. That's kind of rude of me not to answer in the first place. I should have answered the
Well,
instruction.
that's an interesting thing. Um, in 2016, a fellow by the name of Dan Bernardo, who teaches a really high-ranked guy in Tang Sudo. I mean, he is like the vice president of one of the Tang Sudo associations. He opened up a school. He offered me space. And at some point we'll get into this. I was teaching someplace else. They offered Wing Chun at this other place. They offered it 1 day a week, Saturdays for 1 hour. I wanted to do more. I was teaching a lot of JKD, Muay Thai, a little Kali. I wanted to do more Wing Chun. Dan said, hey, the place is not being used during the day. If you want to come and teach, great. It's right down there, within walking distance of the University of South Carolina, within walking distance of Allen University, Benedict College. It's perfect. I can get one or two folk. I can go and improve myself.
Oh.
And so I didn't have a name. He had a name, but I was just using his space. He now calls it Well Within Martial Arts. Great. Dan is phenomenal. We'll also get into this later, I'm sure. He and I have teamed up to do this, what we call Good Martial is Universal workshop. We did one just a couple months ago. We got another one planned for June. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But initially when he opened up, he called himself KDA. So I called myself KDA Wing Chun just in order to have a website. He then changed it to Well Within Martial Arts and Well Within Wing Chun. And maybe he'll change his name again someday. And I'm not gonna, I don't have the ego to say Keith Mosher Martial Arts or Mosher Wing Chun or Keith Wing Chun. So I have identified myself with, I'm Wing Chun in South Carolina.
Okay, I'll give you that's fair.
There are only one or two other guys in South Carolina that do Wing Chun. So.
Humility, not one of my strong suits. To give everyone a 360-degree view of Sifu Keith Mosher, I don't really recall how we connected. I think it may have been on a forum on Facebook. I saw your stuff, and out of all the times that you watch, people's content online, you could just kind of really tell when somebody's got their stuff that's good. And I'm watching your stuff and I'm like, oh, this is good Wing Chun. And I think I told people last week on the live that I did that you are one of the few guys that I would take lessons from still now. And I reached out to you and I said, hey, at some point I want to come down there because I want you evaluating my stuff. I like your delivery. I like how you teach. I like your Wing Chun. So we need to start there. We need to start you with your Wing Chun journey, and then we need to get in just having fun of the conversations to why, it's like, why is it somebody that is so humble like you? Why do you even associate with a guy like me? Where is your? I have a ton of questions for you. So I guess let's start out with let's talk about the Wing Chun journey, how it started, and then we'll get to this point.
All right, let me give you my martial bona fides, and that'll answer some of those questions. I started under a fellow by the name of Sensei Jimmy Logue, doing an Okinawan karate when I was 14, which is more than 50 years ago. This is an Okinawan that is directly descended from mainland China, so it's not a derivative school-based kind of. Worked up the ranks with him, college, marriage, kid. So I stopped training for a while. The ex wanted the child to study Bruce Lee martial arts. Bruce Lee karate is what she called it. Mm-hmm. One guy in town did that. He did not teach kids. His name was Mark Mills. She begged and begged and begged. Okay, fine. So I took Alex to train several days a week. I was sitting back there, do this, because I have experience. finally, Mark said, why don't you just train with him? I'll show you what to do. You just train. Within about 3 months, I was assisting teaching classes in JKD. It felt good, but something was missing. And then around 1998, 1999, I met Sifu Francis Fong. Kevli, Sifu Francis Fong. And immediately it's like, that's it. That's the root. That connected so well with my Okinawan stuff and was connected with me. And Sifu Fong and I saw eye to eye. And in our first meeting, he came up to me and looked me square in the eye and said, I am starting a Wing Chun instructors camp, and I want you to come be part of it. Well, when somebody like that says something like that, you don't say no. So for many years, 4 times a year, I would travel to Atlanta for 4 days of intensive training. Along that line, around, well, I guess probably around 2002, I officially started teaching with JKD at Mark Mills' place. 2007, he got a new place. I was teaching JKD, Wing Chun, Muay Thai, and a tad of but I wanted more Wing Chun. My studies were Wing Chun. I knew these other things. I'd already been ranked in these things. I was teaching them. 2016, he and I kind of had a clash.
Always seems to be the case.
Yeah. And it was at that time that Dan said, I've got this place. If you want to come use it, use it. So since then, I've been teaching there, just calling it Wing Chun SC at this point. I have taken courses, online courses, and had email contact with Master Wong, Sifu Bogdan, and I'm currently taking online under Sifu Fu, Enter Shaolin.
Yeah, I just had him on a couple weeks ago, and yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. I'm really interested in his No Doc Na. As I said to them, it's not like I don't know this stuff. I've been doing this stuff for more than 25 years. But I want different ways of expressing it. And so being exposed to different instructors gives you different terminologies.
It's so odd that I didn't know your lineage. You know, I like to save questions until I get somebody on. Because I want the exposure factor at the same time the audience does. I would have sworn, based on how you move, based on how you teach, I would have sworn that you've been a student of directly under Ip Ching for decades. I dead on, because Ip Chun's stuff looks different. The two brothers look different in how everything they did stuff. And I'm watching, and you and I started our Wing Chun journey on the same time. 98 is when I started mine. I got so many questions. What was it like to be, most guys, I always say this, it's so weird. If you start in Wing Chun, most people then wind up thinking more, and they test it out a few times, doesn't work, so then they go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Jeet Kune or something else. Well, then you get the guys who start in like JKD, they find Wing Chun, and they're like, oh no, I got to dive deep into this. It's so weird. How did you get a Jeet Kune Do background and then go, wait a second, all right, I gotta go to that? What was it like in your head when that happened?
For me, or I'll tell you what I can tell you when you first noticed me, I think. And that was when I did what I call a Walking Talking Tuesday, and I started talking about Bruce Lee, and they were talking about him doing 18-foot high kicks and stuff like that. And I made the comment at some point that JKD is a license to teach without form, without structure.
That was Wing your
Chun, Wing Chun, when well learned, is a license to be formless.
That statement, I copied, pasted, gave you credit. That was one of the single greatest answers to that question of what's the difference. That was fantastic.
And as soon as I met Sifu Fong, I could feel that the structure in Wing Chun that is missing from JKD. Now, I got to be fair. I can't say that it's missing from JKD. It is missing from JKD instruction these days. People have taken a really shorthand route. Way of the intercepting fist. That means I'm going to hit you first. What if you don't have to hit? I mean, it's a shortcut. And, you know, no way is way, no form is form, all that crap. People have taken that to mean I don't need to learn, say, a form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to learn structure. Bruce Lee could throw all that stuff out because he had it. You can't throw out something you don't have. Right?
Sure.
I came upon this realization, well, shortly after meeting Sifu Fong and training with him. But also, there's a famous poster of Bruce Lee like this. Or, excuse me, this way. And it's, to me, it's like everybody points out, oh, it's Bruce Lee, no way is way, no style is style. And I have to point at that poster and go, that's Wing Chun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me it isn't.
It's a mun sao and a punch.
Yeah.
It's a woo sao and a punch.
Don't tell me it isn't. And I kind of resurrected when I was for the kids, or well, not kids, but I teach adults. Even for JKD, I wanted that form quality, that structured quality. So I resurrected Bruce's, in his Jun Fan, his Ung Moon form. If you are not familiar with Ung Moon, I got a video out there. Yuri Nakamura has a video out there. Look at it. It's a Wing Chun form. It's weak. It's very derivative. It's very weak. It's very simplistic. It is not as conceptual or generalized as most of the Wing Chun.
It seems like it's just throwing out the movements to acknowledge the movements. That's all it seems that it is.
Yeah. Yes. But at least for my JKD students, it was some of that structure that I was getting from Wing Chun. In fact, I eventually went on for JKD students, requiring them to learn Wing Chun forms. But I mean, the long answer, or to get around to shorten the answer, what I saw in Wing Chun was structure that I could then utilize. And if in a JKD sense I had to throw it out, you can throw out what you have. If you do not have it, the old saying, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Right. Right. Were you able to function? Did you, the only guy I've ever met who, in my opinion, that shows, Sifu Howard, I've never met him, but we talk quite a bit. But I did meet Sifu Singh, and he is one of the few guys. He's a Paul Vunak guy. Now he's one of the biggest JKD guys out there. He's one of the few guys who actually I've ever met, and I'm sure there's quite more out there, who have trained he has some massive exposure in Wing Chun, but they still, they're like, I'm putting this in my JKD, but when they move Wing Chun, it's like, all right, you could totally see that. Sifu Fong, when I watch his stuff, it's like, man, when they're not doing the flashy drill content and he's actually moving, he does, and I've seen the footage of him sparring with his students just for like 2-3 seconds, and I'm like, oh, why can't he put more of this stuff out there? Because he shows the aliveness of Wing Chun that JKD people seem to think doesn't exist. I don't get it, and I want to hear more about your experience with that.
Sifu Fong is very private about what he teaches. There's things he wants to show and things he does not want to show. In instructors' camps, it's old school. This is locked door, folks. You can show your students this, use this drill to teach your students, but let me show you this. He is wary of people seeing Wing Chun as being mystical, magical. And so he doesn't want to get into some of that. He's also He's a few years older than I am, so he's not maybe quite as tech savvy. Kev is very tech savvy.
Kevin's fantastic. I love his
he
energy. I
is.
love his personality. He's
Yeah.
they're both just a great duo. They really are.
They are. They really, really, really are. So some of that stuff he intentionally holds back from the public. If you attend an instructor's camp seminar and then attend a public seminar, you can see a definite watering down. There's definitely a wall has gone down. I'm not showing this, but I will show that, because the flashy hand stuff, Pak Sao Sat Sao drills and stuff, that wows everybody. Right. I don't care who you are. I don't care how experienced you are, especially at his speed and dexterity. It wows everybody.
And I said that in the video I just did, which is that's the problem I have is you have, well, three of the greatest examples. I used him, Kevin, and Adam Chen. It's like it's a YouTube short. It's a Facebook or Instagram short. And people are like, oh, that's not going to work. And they don't see the continuation of what it is. And then you'll see him. He's almost in like boxing movement. And then people go, no, he's boxing. No, he's using Wing Chun. He's today's Hawkins Chung. If Hawkins was still alive, and Ip Chun still is alive, the Ip Chun and Hawkins are both, whatever comes out of my fist is Wing Chun. That's how they were. And then for some strange reason, it seems nobody out there, either the public's perception is, oh, you can't apply that, or immediately if you wind up throwing a right cross at somebody or a left hook to the liver, oh, that's not Wing Chun, you switched to boxing. I don't know where that stemmed from, but it's good. I just see Sifu Fong doing that, and I'm like, oh God, I wish you would show more of that.
It's a human thing. I was having this discussion this morning in class. Students tend to tie combination techniques to combinations. Like we were working kicks, and so I was having them defend using a cow sound. And one of the more experienced students like, you don't use the cow sow anywhere else. No, you've tied it to the kick. We use it in the dummy form. We use it in, here, throw a John Wayne. Whoa, there you go. There's my cow sow. And she all of a sudden realized, oh yeah, we do use it everywhere. That's what happens to everybody. And so when Sifu Fong goes from this to this, oh, he's boxing now. Yep. No. He is not boxing at that moment. Boxing is not that shape. Boxing is a different one form of thought. Wing Chun is another. But that form of thought is all the various theories, central line, a center line, central line, the cue and cue it. If you're applying those things, my book, if you're applying the cue and cue it, you're doing Wing Chun. I don't care what your shape looks like. Sifu Fong, probably around 2000, 2001 at the instructor's camp, was talking about this very thing. And he's using Tan Sao as an example. And all of a sudden he lies down on his back. Is this Tan? Well, yeah, it is when somebody points that out to you. But most people would see this if you're on your back and they'd say, oh, no, that's BJJ holding the tray. No, it's Tom. I'm sorry. It's Tom. Period. End of story. So it's a human nature thing. We tie our concepts or tie our thinking process to specific shapes and very often the combinations. And okay, Sifu Fong goes pop, pop, hook. Okay, that's not Wing Chun, that's boxing. No, that's straight down the spine, straight down the line. Oh, I'm going to set an angle, bang. It's Wing Chun. It's a human failing.
Yeah, I never understood that. And that always bothered me. It's like, you're switching up, you're going back to wrestling. I'm like, no, you're actually using Wing Chun, center line, facing, energetics, elbow control, all that and whatnot. It's ridiculous. One of the I want to hear your experience with this. One of my favorite things in Wing Chun is the whole Chi Sao debate. Where, listen, I'm going to be 48. I don't like fighting anymore. It hurts at my age. It sucks. You don't want to do it. So I don't want to go, and I don't want to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I love Wing Chun. I'm good with that. It's fun. I don't want to start something new. Chi Sao is awesome. It's an exercise. It's fun. It could be nice and slow and controlled. It could be assertive to a point where you're getting some exchanges in. It's not Wing Chun. It's Chi Sao. But we made it to where that's all people think it becomes. Can you talk a little bit about Chi Sao and the good and the dangers and how it got misconstrued and anything else that winds up coming to mind?
The misconstrued is exactly what I was just talking about. People see Chi Sao and they say, okay, that is a Wing Chun thing. Okay, let's get into a fight. Well, you're not doing Chi Sao. No, it's a drill. It is a drill. Every martial arts has drills that are not applicable in Kali, in the Costa system. We've got 12, the clock, the 12 strips. You are never going to pull those things off. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to learn dexterity and get eye-hand coordination. It's the same Chi Sao. Chi Sao is not fighting. It is learning what he feels like, learning how to move, learning how to create. I talk about moments in time. Inside Chi Sao, inside Silam Tao, inside Build Z form, there are these split tiny moments where in a fight you may find yourself in that specific shape. And if you have trained enough, you know a response. That's all Chi Sao is really about. It's about just let me be in contact so many times under so much movement that I can find ways to deal with an opponent. Recognizing that I have to then take that entire Chi Sao experience to a deli slicer and slice it up into little teeny pieces. Oh, I'm here. Oh, this applies. Oh, this applies. Chi Sao, a lot of people have trouble with Chi Sao. I had trouble with Chi Sao for a long time, still do, because my shoulders are shot.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 16-year-old guy getting ready for the cage do a flying armbar on this one. And I've got almost 20 years on you. You want to talk about your shoulders and joints.
It hurts.
It hurts. I can't say that I enjoy Chi Sao. I enjoy what it can give me. I enjoy looking at it and working with it. One of my difficulties is finding people that can give me new contact. I'm teaching all the time.
Yeah.
Which changes. I mean, that's why, like right now, I'm taking courses under Sifu Fu. It's like I need input too. I mean, I'm trying to elevate all of my students, but of the students I haven't elevated any of them past me yet. I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to come back and go, oh yeah, okay, now I get that. I mean, I tend to agree with you. I like Chi Sao. I think it is misconstrued, like many things Wing Chun. I think it is, too many people are overly dependent on it. I think at times some instructors use it as a bait. Let me Chi Sao with you so I can beat you up.
Yep. Yes. So 100%. I agree with that.
And I mean, you've seen my videos. I hit my students, but I also tell them to hit me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in fact, that's a big issue with me right now is I have to keep telling them, no, hit me. No, I need you to hit me to really hit me. in order for me to show you how this works.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time getting them to do that. But yeah, I hit my students, but I don't beat my students up.
Right.
Show them this is a hole, or it's gonna feel like this. You have to do. I don't like the idea of teachers using Chi Sao as a bait. In fact, with most of my students now, one of my complaints about Chi Sao, a lot of people will take this undershot, your Bong, Tan, Fook. So when you come in with a Tan, a lot of people will shoot in underneath. And I have told them, I think that's a cheap shot. For one thing, if I am very sensitive, and I am for them, when they start to come in, my hand's on top. Why don't I just smack them in the face? But because it's a friendly exchange, everybody can kind of get that shot in.
It's the got you one. That's the one where everyone turns their palm over and just boom, right in the chest, got you. And it's like, dude, all you got to do is turn the angle a little bit. And then you get, well, if your Fook Sao is right on, you can veer it up. It's not dynamic. Yeah, I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's the cheap shot. And it's like, yeah, if I wanted to hit you just as much as you would have come in, I would have turned the angle and smacked you in the face. But I don't want to hit you in the face, but you have no problem hitting me in the chest. I get it, because it's my chest. And so I kind of say, don't do that one, guys, because I want them to keep their level up.
Yeah, that is lazy. That is. And I always...
It's a lazy shot. I don't like it.
I never thought of it that way.
Especially when I see instructors, and you've gone over a couple of these videos where the instructor will start with that and the person's back off, and then boom, he's on them like white on rice. And it's like, you're not teaching anything except fear. Don't do that. So that's where I stand. It is a very useful tool, but it is no different than the Mukyang Jong. It is a tool, nothing more. It does not define Wing Chun. It does not define an individual's Wing Chun. I have compared it to the honing steel. Not the knife. It's the honing steel. It's what I use to sharpen my knife. I don't go out into a fight with a honing steel.
That makes sense. In my mind, it's always range training. So I can go to the range all day long and shoot in that nice, fun, controlled motion, a static controlled environment. But if you're in a condition where you actually have to deploy a firearm, it's erratic, chaotic, violent, quick, all this. It's not the same. I like my Chi Sao range training time, and because that's where my mind is at. And I do know that, God forbid I ever have to come out of the gate and it has to be applied. I still think that it's there. I know it's there, but I like that. I lineage bash, and I'm not asking you to do that. And I'm critical, and I'm very vocal about it without criticizing. But one of the biggest problems in the Wing Chun community is our perception that, oh my God, we are just so easy to wind up taking down. But in seeing your content, I know you know footwork. I mean, I could just see it, the way you wind up moving, the way you wind up teaching it. How much has the watered down, and you come from the base of traditional Okinawan martial arts, so you've got it direct from the source. How watered down has Wing Chun been to where it's become a chasing hand art that leads to, well, you do this for 6 months and you face a white belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You've been doing it for 4 weeks. You're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to go over to BJJ now because that's ultimately superior in your eyes. How much problem has that caused us?
I see exactly where you're coming from. I know it because I watch you. I know what you're saying. I have to say that was not my path. Okay, like you said, you see my content. I am about the Kyun It. Meet what enters, stick to it, escort it away, and close the gap. Get in there, grab their neck, elbow them to the head, get them down to the ground, and get the hell out of it. That's my thought on Wing Chun. So I have no problem with the grappling. I have no problem even with groundwork. I teach it. I include it in my classes. Sifu Fong includes it. He doesn't do a lot of video of it, but he includes it. Kevin has, in some recent videos, has snuck some out of it. One of the more recent ones with Kevin and Sifu Fong, you got to watch how he literally goes from trapping to taking Kevin down and just literally just tying him up like a pretzel on the ground. And it's all Wing Chun. That's the Wing Chun that I learned. Okay. But I do know what you're talking about. There are a lot of people who keep Wing Chun on the edge of mysticism, very internal, very light, very soft, all the yin, none of the yang. And that is a problem for Wing Chun only so long as there isn't a counterbalance.
Mm.
You, me, Sifu Fong, Kevin. As long as in every single martial art, there are people who teach it who don't know what the heck they're talking about. Name the style. Keep thinking of that Russian guy. You know the one I'm talking about, the guy who does the.
Oh, well, there's Sistema. There's some of that. There's some of the stuff
that's
that's out there. Well,
that's not. I'm not talking about
that guy. Is what I'm thinking about.
This guy looks like.
Oh, Keith Kernspet?
Well,
he's German.
Like he's under. A German? Oh, okay.
Well, I don't want to misrepresent.
It looks like he's having an epilepsy.
Kernspet did that. He was underneath Liang Ting's lineage, but Kernspet, you would see when they chi sao, they do this a lot of body rolling stuff, but he created Norbert Mayday, Eamon Bostepi, Victor Gutierrez. He created some killers. But the problem is, and if you watch any of and I don't know if it's the same guy you're talking about, if you watch any of their content, they could fight on their feet, fight on the ground. It got lost somewhere in translation. And that's always specifically the art or the lineage I go to is I have such a love-hate relationship with the Liang Ting lineage because those guys are killers, but they have a system, meaning that you don't learn this until you get to level 7. You don't get this until you learn to level 24. I cheese out a guy who was trained for 4 years, and I did a Yun Sao exchange where I went from half and half roll to double Bong Sao, and he goes, "Whoa, that's level 4. I'm not there yet." And I'm like, "You've been training 4 years, and you don't know how to do a simple changeover with your Chisa?"
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So that bothered me. And when you look at it, so the guys from the 80s who were doing that lineage, they could fight with anybody. The famous fight that never happened was supposed to be, I guess, Rickson Gracie and Eamon Bostepi. Never happened. Then you get to Klaus Brand, who he came out with 10 years ago, and he started to show, and he clearly is from that lineage, clearly says, I want to teach a hard Wing Chun, where when you get an adrenaline dump, you don't have time to relax. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. So I'm wondering where we're hurting ourselves trying to guard the rice bowl of, keep paying me tuition, I'll show you the gung lick. I'll show you the internal energy.
But that's what I'm saying. Every single art has that. Unfortunately, money rules.
Yeah. I keep saying
that. And unfortunately, in the martial arts community, martial arts broad community, not just Wing Chun, to the inexperienced public, it's magic. And since it's magic, any idiot, any person with a little con savvy can sell them an art or sell them something and it not be actually true to form, regardless of style. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. Wing Chun has this problem, but every martial art has that problem. Most of them survive it because there's always the parallel. There are always those who are doing it right alongside of those who are doing it wrong. Your example just there about Liang Ting lineage. Okay, they're doing it right alongside a bunch of people who did it wrong. So it's up to each individual to do the best they can to put out the best that they can, in my opinion. You're trying to put out the idea that Wing Chun is aggressive, it's dirty, it's in there, it's in close, as it should be, versus the. And I'm not dissing people who do internal. I'm dissing people who say Wing Chun's all internal. I'm dissing people who say Wing Chun is all external. Can't do one without the other. We do sell those people who do not teach well-rounded aggressive systems do the art a disservice. But, McDonald's has done a hamburger a disservice. I mean, really.
Yeah, and they've popularized it to the point where that's what they think people think is McDonald's is a cheeseburger because they dominate the field.
Yeah, and then they go to a family barbecue and go, now this is a burger. Well, yeah. There will always be the family barbecue. There will always be people. I hope there will always be people who are doing good Wing Chun, good Kung Fu Do, good BJJ, good whatever. Which one thing I wanted to say today was, I hope you continue to do what you're doing right now, which is interview people, because whether you are aware of it or not, you are creating not only a legacy for yourself, but you are helping to preserve the legacy of people who do Wing Chun and who at least do it to an extent that you find acceptable. There will come a time for you, more than likely, where you will look back and go, oh, that guy I interviewed is not with us anymore. I mean, I'm not going to be around for as long as you will be around. So, one, I think this is important. I'm glad that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Under the idea of exactly what you're talking about. There is bad Wing Chun out there. There is good Wing Chun out there. As long as it is documented, we keep it.
I never understood the criticism, and I love the forums, right? Which is, it blows me away how the YouTube, Instagram, all this has killed or is killing what we're doing. I watched some guy doing a Wing Chun wooden dummy forum on Instagram yesterday, and it was on like a Wing Chun shared group. So somebody saw this man's stuff, put it up online, 45 seconds. 45 seconds. And the first comment on there was, good stuff. You may wanna, and then there comes the paragraph of instruction. So I had to comment on here, I'm just here to support, because I don't want to be the guy that takes 45 seconds worth of somebody's entire career, could be training 18 years, could be training 18 months, I don't know, and then offer my 2 cents. It really doesn't matter in the long run. These forums are insane. And it seems that we're black and white, because you can't instruct on a forum, which everybody wants to. I don't know what the whole I've got the real Wing Chun is, because it's always been dynamic. I've said it before, I'm 5'7", and in my earliest Wing Chun videos, I was probably Kevin's size. So, I'm 165. I can get my center line in really covered. Now it's like bad shoulders, chest is so tight, back is so tight, I can't get on center line. So it's like there's the dynamic aspect of it. There's the body composition, because now you're saying maybe that overweight people can't do Wing Chun if they can't get it on center. Then it comes into the reality of it. So I meet up with some guy online who's like, I've got the real Wing Chun, and whoever wins, is that the real Wing Chun? Because maybe 37 or 27-year-old me was faster, had better endurance. 47-year-old me may be stronger, but if I can last 15 seconds in a fight, that might be a lucky, because I'm just out of shape. So it's like, what defines the real Wing Chun that everyone in the forum seems to claim they have and is insistent on correcting one another? I think that's such a detriment to our beloved art.
It is. you and I probably watch a lot of the same stuff, and you probably notice I tend to not comment a lot.
I've never seen you comment on anything other than support. Anything.
I was aware of you before you were aware of me. I was aware of you back before you took your hiatus. And I seem to have vague memories of you and Jim Byrne.
Oh my God, all the time. God, I used to spend hours. I can't remember his name. Landon, something like that. Outstead was from England. And one day, like it was the whole barking dogs back and forth. I was so pissed. Now he's hours and hours and hours ahead of me. It's afternoon my time. He comments on something. I comment. So we go like 4 or 5 comments exchange. All of a sudden he goes silent because he's asleep. I waited the entire day refreshing my feed, waiting for him to come back on to continue the argument. And that's when I went, I just lost an entire day arguing with somebody online. And to this day, I don't even know what the argument was about. It just shows how stupid I got. Jim Byrne was huge. He was a massive troll. You're not doing this right, not doing this right. And then you'd look and I'd be like, I'm letting a guy who is basically showing he's a drunk comment on my stuff and this is bothering me? What the hell? Oh, yeah. All the time I got sucked into that.
More than once of late, I have seen you comment on something, even on your videos, and I've just kind of said, you're letting them suck you in, man.
Oh,
just sit back. Just sit back.
I tell Howard that. I tell Howard, dude, stop getting sucked into the trolls, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like, I'm getting pulled right back in too. What the hell? Yeah.
They pull you back in.
I get petty now. So instead of like somebody's like, hey, your energy is really low. You're not getting in deep and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I go the mom route. Oh, that's okay. Your mother gets me in deep. So I turn into a juvenile lately. Cause it's like, I know this isn't going to accomplish anything.
It's not going to accomplish anything. And as you say, it's 45 seconds. As I started putting out videos, and the primary function for my Wing Chun videos is because I have for years been telling my students, bring a notebook. And no one will.
Right.
So I said, screw
I
this.
I was the only one
I'll
with the problem.
videotape the class, and whatever is really important, I'll take a clip of that and I'll put it up there. There's your dang notebook.
I have tons of notes from class, and I look back at them all the time, and it's awesome to see. In February of 2007, I had these questions, and it's like, wow, that's so awesome. I could see these, and it's great historical document. I love it.
I have a stack. As I tell them the story, you may not even be able to read what you take notes of because class is zooming along, but it's important that you make that connection, physically trying to describe it in your brain while it's fresh. But that's what my videos are for. And when I started putting them up, like anybody putting up videos, I got some weird comments. And I would find myself starting to try to defend what I'm doing. And I just came down to, dude, it's 3 minutes out of an hour-long class. You don't know whether I went on to do exactly what you're saying I should do or not. So I've gotten to the point now where if there are negative comments, I just don't deal with it.
I don't know why we do this. I don't understand the point. We all know this by now. We're teaching a class. Unless you've touched hands, right? Because that's what we all say, come touch hands with me. Unless you have trained with me, you don't know my ability from something you see online. It's like, I don't, so that's why purposely I've never gone and corrected or insulted anybody's stuff online because you really have no idea.
Well,
I don't get it.
Not only do you not have an idea of what their ability is, but as unified as we think Wing Chun is, it is not. I have taken many courses under Master Wong. He's Pan Nam. He does a completely different opening to Jing Ma than I do. Okay? Do I look at him? Well, I don't do it that way, so you're wrong. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong. Wait a minute. No, Sifu Fong isn't wrong, so I do it right. That's Master Wong. He's not wrong. Oh, It can be both of them.
I had a conversation with him. It'll be 12 years ago at this point, and we Skyped because everyone's like, well, he doesn't know Wing Chun. No, 60-minute conversation, just a hey, how are you conversation. That man absolutely knows Wing Chun. There is zero question after that and that was 12 years ago. I'm like, this guy, he's not showing online what he really knows. It blows me away.
It's not to harp on him too much. I think he's great. I have taken classes or courses under him for probably almost that long. There is a very old Master Wong that people are not aware of because he's let those videos fall out of circulation, where he is very sedate. There are no F-bombs. There's no cussing.
Oh, the green screen videos.
Yeah. He wears the white Nehru, yep. And it is this technique with logical explanation of why you do what you do. Very calm, very sedate. And I expect that's probably a little bit more of the kind of person he is if you sit down and have lunch.
It's marketing. He's got a market, and that's how he blew up so well.
He found out if I cuss a lot and I make it, kill him dead or whatever, that's what sells. Mm-hmm. And more power to him. I got nothing against that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah. So, yeah, you get... I've learned to avoid the negative comments. There can be a comment that one might feel is negative, but it's actually a question. And okay, well, we can have a discussion as long as they're open to discussion. But as soon as it becomes, well, no, you're doing it wrong, that's like, okay, I'm done. You do it your way, I'll do it my way. I said to you in an email when you asked.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I purposely stopped reading because I wanted to address that like with you online because you were offering criticism that I value. So I wanted to hear it from you.
Well, we'll talk about that. The bottom paragraph, I mentioned that I tell my students all the time, if somebody does something in Wing Chun differently than I do, if I have not heard an explanation for why they do it, I cannot assume that it is wrong. If they can explain to me why they do it the way they do it, and it makes sense, follows the laws of physics, then I think it's right. It's only if it nullifies the laws of physics, then I will say, that's wrong.
Okay? I hope I have an answer then.
But to what you were talking, or what prompted the email, I liked your Mukyang series. It's a different form than I have.
It was taught to me by Phil Nearing, my second teacher. He learned it from Ip Ching and Sam Kwok. His first lineage was Simon Lau under Steve Lee Swift, and then he met Sam Kwok, and he became more interested in the energetics of Chi Sao. So I got that form, and when I went to Syed, he added in a little bit of a section. I think in section 5, he added in just a strike or two. That's the way he was taught. Syed, I've said this many times, Phil Nearing and Dave Jeglin were Kung Fu brothers underneath Steve Lee Swift together. Phil branched out after years and went to Sam Kwok, and then Dave stayed under Steve Lee Swift. So I got more of that exposure the last 2008 is when that started.
Sifu Fong freely admits that he changes his form, and he's even changed it since I've known him. And more credit to Sifu Fong. His memory is phenomenal, in that if I do the form against, say, a newer student, he knows, oh, that's what I taught him. It may not look exactly like that one, but that's what I taught him. He's doing what I taught him. They're doing what I'm teaching now. So he doesn't say, oh, that's wrong, which is this argument that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. No, it's not wrong. That's what you were taught. This is what they're taught. But what my comment was, take the end of the Zhong set where you're doing a Ching Jern or a Wong Jern. And I have a little video that I might be able to send to you. You're over the arm. over the Zhang's arm. I see that as a path for them to hit me. The way I was taught, I hunts out inside the arm, keeping the elbow down a bit for that jing, so that their arm is intentionally on the outside, that I am completely inside, control what is technically their left arm, and outside control of the right arm versus over it. It was just a comment. I also, when I wrote the comment, I was thinking it could be because of your stature.
I can't get my arms in. And I think I talked about that in this, like I filmed that in 2015. I filmed that series. And I think I commented in one section where typically it's, you go under the arm, I go over it for this section. Yeah. In that position.
For that, yes.
Yeah.
And I totally get that.
Yeah.
But this is not about bong sows or weaving or snaking around the arms. This is about, you've got that final move, and you've got plenty of space, but understanding your stature, if I'm a half step out, half of my foot out,
I can't get
I
get
have
it
to
in.
reach.
Yeah.
I have to reach.
Okay.
But for my students, I emphasize, even for the big guys, and you've seen my videos, I got some big guys.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
They
eat well by you.
Them, at least get your elbow on top of that arm so you can feel the movement and you can restrict the straight shot. But that was just intended as a friendly, just something for you to think about.
But I don't take it as anything I don't take it as anything but. So that's why that stuff doesn't bother me. I guess it's delivery, right? Is you're not, because I still get people emailing me today, and everybody opens it up with hey, Seafood's great, I love your stuff, but, and then here comes a page of correction. And I'm like, I don't know you. I've never spoken to you. And I guess we've established a connection. You and I have had a couple conversations online, privately conversations. I openly told you that I would be interested in coming down to have you evaluate my Wing Chun. So anything you tell me, I'm going to take as, no, I asked you for that. I would never go to anybody and say, hey, love your stuff. Have you ever thought about doing it this way? Because I don't know where we became a culture of, I'm just going to give you unsolicited instruction. You didn't ask for it, but it's arrogant of us. And I just don't know where that came from.
It's what we are constantly taught. We're supposed to leave at the door, but we never do. Our ego. Every martial art class in the world, leave your ego at the door. But now I'm the instructor, and I'm going to sneak that punch in your tonsao, and then I'm going to beat the crap out of you. Wait a minute. Shouldn't you have left your ego at the door? It's human nature. You can tell by my writing, when I offer, I don't criticize, I don't critique. I offer a different point of view, and I intentionally couch it as being, I make it as humble as I possibly can.
You did, and that's why I stopped reading, because I'm like, I didn't want to hear what it was, other than I wanted to hear from you, because I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good, and I wanted to save it for content for this. But the second I started reading your email, I'm like, this is good. And that's what it got me. Oh, you got to come on. We got to come on the show and talk about this. So I didn't take it as anything other than that. And that's why I like your stuff. And that's why I went back to, based on how you deliver, you teach, you deal with people, I'm shocked that you would associate with somebody like me who is so openly vocal and critical.
There's a teacher's adage that I'm sure you have encountered. We can learn from anybody. The teacher learns from the student. You get better by teaching. You learn, right? You would, if you and I bumped into each other for the first time at a kegger, well, for one thing, we wouldn't, because you'd be there and I wouldn't, because I don't go to those.
I don't know.
But Yeah, I mean, yeah, there might, until we found a connection, be no, I wouldn't hang, right? But once there's a connection, then you have an avenue. Um, I have no problem with, I like your Wing Chun. You have many of the same complaints that I have. You complain of Bruce Lee idolization, just like I do. You complain about the complainers. You complain about the critics. You complain that Chi Sao has become everything, and it shouldn't be everything. It's just, we have, so there's, I can learn from you. I learn from my students every day. I learn from my students. I'm out there to be a sponge. I'm taking 67 friggin' years old. I've been teaching Wing Chun for 20 years. I'm taking online classes with Sifu Fu. Tomorrow I will be on a Zoom with Sifu Fu, right? One of Sifu Fong introduced me, in Mark Mills, introduced me to Guru Dhananasanto.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's in his 80s and he's taking jitsu under Higan Machado.
Yeah, he's still a student.
Yeah. I mean, this is, if you want to put life in your life, that's where it is. It is not running and jogging and butt lift. And you guys can do all that you want, especially in your 40s. And when I was your age, I was in my prime.
I'm hurting.
But what makes life a thing is learning stuff, doing stuff. I used to jump out of airplanes.
Oh gosh.
I've jumped more than 200 jumps.
I
was a jump master. And it's been decades. But I'm literally thinking, I need to do that again. I need to go feel what's new. I see how they do it new, talk to new people. The best thing you can do in life is learn stuff. And this is, whether you know it or not, this is part of your problem with the trolls who, I got the Wing Chun, let me tell you. The moment you say, I've got the Wing Chun, you have admitted you've stopped learning. You have declared in stone, you can be taught nothing.
Mm.
What a sad life to think that, well, I've just got it all. I mean, to me, that's a sad life. I want to learn something new. So I have no problem with, I'm not like you, but I have no problem with your Wing Chun. It teaches me stuff.
Hopefully I'll become more like you as I get older then.
And in fact, that was one thing I wanted to bring up, because I knew at some point there would be, oh, Sifu, oh, Sifu, oh, Sifu, oh, Sifu. I'm learning from you. You're learning from me. See him.
Appreciate that. Well, let's close this out. Number one, it's Wing Chun South Carolina, SC.com, Wing Chun -SC.com. Your YouTube channel is Wing Chun and Martial Arts. I've had it tagged several times. Guys, sorry we didn't get to your questions. If you rewatched the video, there's going to be a bunch of questions, I'm assuming, for you, because the guys are all talking in the chat. Close us out with what you'd like to see. What are you going to do with your Wing Chun journey? Or where do you want, what is your parting message for, because we'll have you back on. So for this episode, what's your parting episode or message for just the Wing Chun in totality?
Keep learning. Don't close your mind. Keep learning. That will probably always be my message, but I mean, I may come up with something else. But like I said, right now I'm taking class under Sifu Fu, and okay, the way he expresses energy and how to redirect it, oh man. And I'm starting to push that into my classes a little bit, push it on to my students. Don't get fixated under the idea that you have it, Don't get fixated into the idea that your Sifu is the only Sifu. That's one thing I think that differentiates me from a lot. You've had a couple of Sifus. I've had several Sifus. I've had several instructors. Don't think you can study from one person and you've got it.
All three were different of mine. 100%. 100%.
I was saying today in class, we call it martial arts. I like what Guru Anasanto says, martial arts and sciences. There is physics that cannot be violated. But you give Michelangelo and Picasso a canvas, and paints, and brushes, and the same subject, they will not come up with the same picture.
I said that analogy all the time, and I use like the bowl of fruit, for example. You know, for painting a bowl of fruit, I said, and I don't know who the hell it was, but I'm like, I got this angle, and you're over like 10 feet or even 5 feet to the right of me. The light is going to hit the fruit differently from your angle than it is from mine. We're going to paint two different pictures of how two different. So he said, that's the dumbest analogy I've ever heard. I'm like, oh my God.
I wouldn't even say from the exact same angle, Rembrandt is going to give you a completely different image than Jason Pollock. Okay? They're both going to use canvas. They're both going to use paint. But Pollock's going to do it with a squirt gun. And Rembrandt's going to do it with a scalpel.
As long as I'm Salvador Dali, that's all I want. Is I want to be Salvador Dali. That's it. All right.
Well, you got to work. You got to work.
I do. I haven't had it in a couple of years. I did it for a while, and I'm like, this is ridiculous, but I got to do that. All right, Sifu Keith Mosher, this was fantastic. We'll do another one because then we'll get. Great. This was awesome with the background. We've established this. We'll get more technical next time. Maybe have some fun. Right. But I can't thank you enough for this, guys. This was another episode of Them's Fighting Words. Thanks for the likes, shares, subscriptions, all this kind of stuff. Comment in the comment section below what you want to see, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.